Hello again. Apologies for my voice. I think I've picked up a bit of a virus. But anyway, today's video is just giving my thoughts on what I think the wider impacts are on society with child maintenance and also divorce courts. I think to give the short answer is I think in the net they are a negative on society, simply because I do believe that they act as a contributing factor, overwhelming contributing factor towards the breakup of relationships, both in encouraging people, especially with the divorce courts, in encouraging people not to find resolution. I do believe that there's a financial incentive more from legal representatives to encourage people to break up, rather than work on the differences and try and work through tough times in relationships. But also with the family court and with child maintenance as well, I do believe that there is a financial incentive there for somebody to think, well, rather than working on these issues, I could just walk away with money every month, getting cash and prizes essentially. And once again, I think that disincentivises people to think strongly about working through the problems. It's a big reason why I do think that child maintenance especially should be shut down and not shut down. There should be something put in its place where it is court ordered instead, and I think that is for cases where, say, there has been serious domestic violence, and it's unsafe for people to stay in a household and with children. But then it shouldn't be something that you can just apply yourself for, as I do think it is too much, especially today, in today's environment. I think it's too culturally ingrained now as well to be worked out. As I've heard people that I know talking about this, and overheard other people where they've been just walk away. You hear him say things like, just walk away from the relationship, he'll have to pay you every month, or she'll have to pay you every month, because you look after the kids all the time anyway, and you'll get the house and blah, all these things that most people are aware of, that we've all heard before. They do, but also it's not just the breakdown of relationships, but it's the psychological impact that it has on people as well. And I don't just mean the two people who then arguing and then left feeling bitter about each other, because court is horrendous. It is just a fight. It really is, and it's draining, really emotionally and psychologically draining. But then you also have the children as well. And for all the courts and child maintenance say that they're there for the children, how many people have heard children saying, I just want mummy and daddy back together again? I wish mummy and daddy had never broke up. And there is a lot of scientific literature as well to say that children, even in households where the parents are arguing regularly, are far better equipped for future life than parents who break up, just due to the psychological trauma that it does impose on the children. And yet that never gets brought up, ever. Or if you were to bring that up, you would be castigated by the judge for mentioning such things, as trying to be manipulative, or I can't go too deeply into it from my own experience, but you try and bring these things up and it just gets thrown back in your face like you're some sort of control freak, basically. And that is a big part of it as well. Again, I've mentioned in previous videos as well, which is the domestic coercion laws. They're very, very... I don't necessarily disagree that it doesn't exist. Domestic coercion, it absolutely does, but I do think it's one of those things where it's the road to hell is paved with good intentions once again, and it's gone well beyond, I think, what it was intended to do. And again, with the family courts and with child maintenance, they've just gone well beyond, I think, what the initial idea was. And also, I do think as well that child maintenance has a tendency to get people labelled as deadbeat dads. And when you may have somebody who is actually financially struggling and can't afford to pay it. And why should they, when they have to pay for the children in their own care anyway? Money doesn't go back the other way to the secondary carer, the secondary parent. So that person is expected to pay for the children when they're in in the primary carer's care, but then the primary carer doesn't have to pay when they are in care of the other parent. They still need paying for in both households. Both households need paying for. It all benefits the children. If you have children, let's say only once a week, let's say every other weekend you have your kids and that's it, right? That's a very small amount of time in comparison to the other parent. But it's still incumbent and beneficial for you to maintain your house in the best state possible for when they do come. And for those children to be fed and watered properly when they are at yours in a clean and looked after home. It massively benefits those kids. And if you're incapable of providing a decent home for them where they can't visit you, that is going to have huge, huge negative impacts on the children. And this is what it's supposed to all be about, it's the children. And yet it's made about character assassinations of the parents. And it's all about the egos stroking people. That's what, in my opinion, it comes down to. It's all adult egos. And the children are the ones caught up in the middle of this, and they're the ones who are being dragged through the trauma. And it does absolutely, it's such an outdated idea. It belongs in the 20th century. It's so wrong, like so many other ideas that was lovely on paper but just did not work. And we have just lost our wisdom from multiple centuries before on how families should work. Because you don't need to have laptops and aeroplanes and nuclear power plants and cutting edge science to understand how a family works. All you need is culture, values and traditions. It's something that we've always had access to for the entirety of human history. And it's something we've been able to figure out without mathematics and without arithmetic and without language and all these other things. It's just things you know how to do as a society. And yet people have come on pontificating far too much about it in order to try and justify the jobs, trying to be clever and gaslighting society with lies or failed experiments, but trying to show them as a success with the way they cleverly word them. And it's just wrong, because it's children that are the ones that are getting affected by these bad decisions and by these continually implemented forms of familial torture on the kids. But anyway, that's enough on that. Apologies for no video yesterday, but I did have my children and I was too busy to get one posted. But take care, goodbye.